This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So, Matt, homes are going up for sale in your neighborhood?
At least in my neighborhood.
And they didn't call me? Like, what are you doing,
exactly.
man?
So we usually take a nightly walk with the kids, and we walk around the neighborhood. And just this week, we've noticed that there is at least 2, if not 3 homes that all of a sudden they've got signs in the yard and they're up for sale. And so, of course, like any curious neighbor, you pull out your phone and you pull up the website or the address and you look at the pictures, and we noticed, okay, no big upgrades per se, just basic, obviously not in need of major repairs, but in okay condition.
Yeah.
Right. And then we look at the prices, and they're, I would say, I don't know, a good percentage higher than what we thought a home like that would sell for.
Really?
Especially in the past, because it seemed like...
Do you track the value at all? Or
No, but, well, sometimes, obviously, I go and see what homes are selling for.
Yeah.
You know, when especially...
Well, some people are like Realtor.com junkies. Like, they check it every week. Some people are like every couple of years.
Only if we see a home go up for sale in our neighborhood, then we check. So, obviously, last summer, spring, when the market is hot, we go and we see homes for sale. And it seems like since at least last year, home prices have gone up. And just, you know, selling for more than we think they can get for that neighborhood. But maybe we're wrong. Maybe is the demand up than it has been in recent months, obviously, because the weather's better.
Yeah, so
more people shopping.
So what's happening right now is, and I know people want clarity, they want concrete, like black and white
answers. We want
answers.
you to predict the future. Tell us, what is the maximum amount we can get?
Or what's going on right now.
How can we take the most advantage of the market?
But like traditionally, it was like supply, demand, interest rates kind of feathered in there, right, in terms of affordability. But now you have like this weird below normal supply. You have these crazy high interest rates.
So we are at below normal supply.
In terms of homes coming to the market, we're up about 30%-ish year over year, but that's still below what was happening before COVID, before they dropped the interest rates down. Because what happened is they dropped the interest rates down, everybody refied, and now they don't want to, like, literally, just had this conversation the other night, somebody doesn't want to sell their house because they don't want to give up their 2.5% interest rate.
Absolutely.
The mortgage they're in, even at 2.5%, is literally killing them. Like, it's a huge financial burden for them, but one party does not want to give up that interest rate because it's... Got it. So you have a lot of people. You have a lot of people like that are holding on to those interest rates, and they don't want to sell their home and then buy something else at a higher interest rate and then pay more for it. So
the people that are wanting to sell now, they're obviously they need to downsize or upgrade. It's a necessity right now, so they don't care about a higher interest rate than what they have right now. Or maybe they're moving out of state and they're ready to retire.
Yeah. But typically it's a need. Like there's like a family need. Like they've put off making a move for maybe years now, and they just can't wait any longer. But as far as like home prices and in the market being weird, for example, we listed a house in the first week. We had over 50 private showings. That is insane.
That's crazy.
Over 50 individual parties booked an appointment.
Not an open house.
Not an open house. This seller did not even want to do an open house. Poor thing. Like, she was just getting peppered for a week with all these private showings. And at the end of 6 days, we had only 2 offers on the table. So what that means to me, what I'm seeing when I'm looking at this is there's buyers out there, but in order for your house to stand out from the crowd, like you have to be competitive on price. And so what ended up happening with this person is she ended up getting a great offer, way more than she was hoping for, because she had a full market response. We drove all this traffic. We were able to create a bidding war and get her the price even more than what she wanted. But oftentimes what sellers are wanting to do is they're wanting to start high. They say, hey, my neighbor's house sold for X last year. My house should be worth more this year. And that maybe isn't the case. In my neighborhood right now, the neighborhood that I live in Roseville, 3 houses came to the market. None of them were with me, so I have to drive past these other people's for sale signs. But I did the same thing. I was like, okay, let's see what's going on. And I was thankful that seller did not come to me to list the house. For one of 2 reasons. One, either that homeowner is very unrealistic on what they think their house is worth, and they weren't listening to the realtor, or the realtor air quotes, bought the listing.
Sure.
Told them what they wanted to hear. They interviewed 3 people. They said that they could get the most out of the house. The person went with that realtor, even though that price is unrealistic. So we recently sold a home in that same neighborhood. All these homes are priced $75,000 to $100,000 more than what the home that actually sold for in the neighborhood. And so when you're walking through your neighborhood, Matt, and you're seeing these house prices, I'm not so curious about what they're listed for.
Right.
I'm curious about what they sell for. And so, but people need that money. They need that equity to make that next move. So they're tempting the market. I was on a call last night with a different fella, and his realtor bought the listing. Whether it was malicious or just pure ignorance, he said it was worth probably about $75,000 more than they thought.
Yeah.
They listed it, then they did a $5,000 price adjustment, then another $5,000 price adjustment, and here we are 150 days later. The house still hasn't sold, and they haven't had a single offer on the house. So when it comes to pricing a home, right now getting the price correct is critical. It's better to price a home more aggressively than to overprice a home. And a lot of sellers do not want to hear that. I almost lost a listing. So before we go on the market, we actually pay for a local appraiser to do what's called a desktop appraisal. So they'll look at the photos, they'll look at the 3D tour, and then he will give us, because that 3D tour is accurate, down to a 1/16 of an inch. You can walk through the house virtually.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, you can look up, down. You know the size of the room, so the appraiser doesn't have to measure the rooms. And he'll give us a desktop appraisal. I shared that desktop appraisal with the homeowner, and the homeowner said, absolutely not. We shouldn't even list it. We shouldn't even put it on the market then. And we had to work through that. We ended up getting him an offer within 24 hours of being live on the market. But that's just a challenging conversation to have right now with sellers. And so if you are considering selling your home, I would ask you, are you wanting somebody that's going to tell you what you want to hear, or are you going to tell somebody that's going to be honest with you? Because the last thing you want to do is end up 150, like this other family that's been on the market 150 days. Their life has been on hold. They've had a kid, right? They've had a job change. It's impacting extended family members who are helping them with this transition. Like it's a lot of strain on the family, all because that realtor was just unwilling to have an honest conversation with them up front.
So you mentioned a home that was up for sale and it had 50 private viewings and only 2 offers. Do buyers look at a home that's somewhat overpriced and just walk away? They don't try to negotiate or come in at a price that they can afford?
Good question. So there's 3 main levels. The lowest level, the ideal level of interest in a home is when you're getting showings and offers. The next level up, not so good, is when you're getting showings but no offers. So you're close. You're close in terms of price and condition, but not quite there. And then the worst is you're just getting no showings at all. The market has ignored you.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so what happens is we always encourage people to submit offers on the property. You never know what a seller's willing to take. I don't even know. A seller can tell me, hey, this is my bottom line. And then all of a sudden they change their mind and the bottom line moves. So for example, another house, these are all separate examples. So we deal with a lot of people. We help a lot of people. We have another house listed, very, very low activity on it. I don't understand why. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. There's nobody behind them. It's beautiful kitchen, like stunning home. And we had one guy say, hey, I'm willing to offer you, what is he, 80 grand less? And so I'm like, well, write it up, send it over. Let's start this dialogue. Let's start this conversation. They're saying they're not willing to go below the certain price. You're saying you're not willing to come above whatever your number is. Let's have a conversation about it. And just so often, I don't know what it is, but agents don't want to take the time to write it up, or buyers are embarrassed. But I literally cannot start the dialogue. I can't counter you. I can't negotiate with you if I don't have something to negotiate.
Yeah.
You know?
It's true. I think that's good advice from a realtor, is to talk to their client and have a conversation, because I think that's a natural reaction for people, whether it's a home or anything else, some other purchase. If it just seems like it's way overpriced, you just kind of walk away because you're under the assumption that this person is just crazy and they're out of their mind. They're not reasonable.
They wouldn't accept my offer. You know,
Yeah.
that's what's going through their mind. But man, that is where people get great deals. There are actually companies out there that if a home has been on the market longer than 100 days, it triggers something in their software to reach out to that listing agent, and give them and present a low offer on the property, or air quotes low offer.
It'll be interesting. I'll give you an update on how these homes are selling, because again, my wife and I both think they are overpriced. And so it'll be interesting to see how things progress in the next 30 days. If we see those pending signs, or if we see a drop in price sign or something.
And you'll never know. And what's crazy too is I don't understand why it's taking buyers so long to make a decision. So that 50 offer or 50 showings home, we had 2 offers in 6 days. We ended up getting an additional like 3, maybe 5 offers after that. And it's like, your agent needs to be moving quicker than that, or you as the buyer need to be making decisions faster than that. Like have the conversation with your agent. Here are my wants, here are my needs. Does it work for my family? Don't wait, because if our seller had decided to take the earlier offers and not wait an additional week, it's very unusual that somebody does that. Very unusual. But she decided to wait an additional week. You could have missed out on the house, right? And so you need to have an agent that's going to move with speed and certainty and has your best interest in mind. And then if you do that, you can typically still get a great deal on a house. In fact, right now concessions are up. They're nearing record levels, and like nationally, for what home sellers are willing to do to help the buyer afford the property. And it's just because there is more competition. High interest rates are definitely a challenge. Affordability is a challenge. And so sellers understand that. Like we recently got somebody into a home, like a first-time home buyer. They only paid $500. $500 out of pocket, that's all it cost them to buy this next property, to buy their first home, because the sellers were willing to give concessions to help cover closing costs. Mm-hmm. And then we married that up with a down payment assistance program, and now this person has a sustainable loan, a quality loan. It's not a predatory loan, and they were only out like $500.
I have a question, shifting topics just a bit. So my nephew, Nathan, he lives in Roseville. He's renting an apartment right now with his soon-to-be, hopefully, fiance. But they're thinking about purchasing a home, and he's got a great job. She's a teacher, and he has a tech job. Cool. And he was asking me questions about doing a conventional loan versus an FHA loan, because he sees that, well, a conventional loan, I won't have to pay insurance,
Mortgage
insurance.
Yeah.
But then he's got to come up with the 20% down payment, right? Can you clarify maybe the advantages, the disadvantages of what someone, especially a first-time home buyer, young couple, what you would tell them?
Yeah, so first disclaimer, I'm not a loan officer. I don't play one on.
But you work with
on radio
them on a regular basis.
But I do. I just want to throw that disclaimer out there. So if your nephew wants like more, like a good loan officer will know what questions to ask that your nephew's not even thinking.
Right.
And so I would suggest he reach out to JJ Mack and he can help him out. But as far as the difference between FHA and conventional, and this is something we actually go over in our first-time homebuyer class, like the webinar we do regularly. FHA, they have they're more flexible on their debt-to-income ratio, so you can go like 43, sometimes like 49% of your debt-to-income. So if your income's $10,000 a month, you can get, and when you factor in your whatever you're paying to live, like your rent or your soon-to-be mortgage payment, that can get up to like $4,700, and you can still qualify for a home loan. With a conventional loan, it's lower than that. You can't push the debt-to-income that high, so you have to have like a lower household. Lower expenses. Mm-hmm. So that's one difference. Another difference is with the FHA loan, you can have a lower credit score. So compared to a conventional loan.
Right.
So with FHA, you can have a lower credit score, a higher debt to income ratio, and still qualify for a home loan. With conventional, it has to be a higher credit score and a lower debt to income. So more quality, like a more qualified buyer. And then as far as mortgage insurance, he's right. Like, I mean, he can't get rid of his mortgage insurance on his FHA loan as long as he has the FHA loan. If he refinanced into a conventional loan, like a 3%, 5% conventional loan, or excuse me, as soon as he has 20% equity, he could refinance into a conventional loan and get rid of that. You're still going to have the mortgage insurance as long as you have less than 20% equity. So whether you go FHA or conventional, the mortgage insurance will still be there. That makes sense?
Yeah. So
you can
how much are you looking at for mortgage insurance?
It depends on the loan. Typically, it's a couple $100 a month. Yeah. And so like FHA is 3.5% down. There are 3% conventional loan programs. So it's 0.5% less than the FHA program. So technically, it's less money to the table. You just have to be a more qualified buyer. For that 3%, there's a 5%, there's a 10%, and then there's the one everybody is familiar with, the 20% down.
So it seems somewhat complicated. A lot more questions have to be asked, obviously.
Yeah, so if anybody, whether it's your nephew or anybody, like just reach out to us and we'll just start a conversation. We don't pull your credit. We're not hard sales. Like literally, I was on a call last night with a guy and he's like asking me all these questions. I said, hey, whether you use me or not, here's what I would do. Whether you use me or not, here are the questions I would ask.
Right, good. Like that.
And so that's how we like to approach it. So if you have any questions, just go to madeformorerealty.com.
So what would be your advice for buyers and sellers in a quick 30 seconds? Buyers and sellers right now as we enter the end of spring.
Yeah, if you're a buyer, get clear on what it is you're looking for and move with speed and certainty, and don't be afraid to ask. Like, don't be afraid to ask, hey, can I get this? Can we come off on price?
Right.
Can you give me some closing costs? Like, the faster you move and the shorter those conversations are, the quicker those conversations are with sellers, the more likely you are to get what you want in a situation rather than taking days to respond. So don't be afraid to ask. And if you're a seller, my suggestion is price the home aggressively. You cannot underprice a home. You can overprice a home, but you cannot underprice a home. Get that out of your head that you're leaving money on the table. It is not happening. If you're working,
you can always say no.
You can always say no. And if you're working with a realtor who has a full market response marketing program like what we have, it's literally impossible to underprice a home.
Yes, selling your home can be a long, complicated process, but it doesn't have to be, especially when you work with Johnny Jennings and his amazing team at Made for More Realty. Listen to this. How about selling your home fast and for the most amount of money without doing any showings or organizing or costly repairs? That's right. He'll get you at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. And all you have to do is Google Johnny Jennings and his team at Made for More Realty and get more for your home, like so many people in the Roseville area have done. In fact, making Johnny Jennings the #1 team in Roseville for the past 3 years. Maybe that's why they have over 1,000 5-star Google reviews. Don't believe me? Go check them out for yourself. Again, just Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty and get more for your home.